Hey, what's up guys? It's SR Mori here with another Mistwood Publishing video. But before we get into today's content, just wanted to ask if you could please leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And one last thing, I just wanted to remind you, if you're not aware, part of why I'm doing this whole channel is to raise awareness for my next novel that I'll be publishing hopefully in the spring with my company Mistwood Publishing, right, which this YouTube channel is named after. So if you want to find out more information, there'll be a link down below as well. You can just Google Veil of Stars Indiegogo or follow the link down below again, and so you'll see Legends of Foster, the Veil of Stars Indiegogo. And what Indiegogo is basically like Kickstarter or GoFundMe, where you're basically, you pledge to give X amount of money. In exchange, you'll get X amount of perks, and it helps me kind of raise money for my book with less risk, right? So I'd already have the money to print the book whenever I go to print it, and you would already have your order made. It's basically kind of like a fancy way to pre-order and just make sure that the book is as high quality as possible. So if you just subscribe either at the bottom or the top here, it will take your email and you'll get updates. And if you end up ordering in the spring, you will get a free bookmark, and who doesn't want that? It's going to be an epic bookmark. It's going to have the artwork you see here with Narbad Strongheart, our main character. So yeah, you definitely probably want to get on that. If you could, please do that. But without further ado, here's today's video. So today's video is going to be about kind of the process by which I decide a cover and how it's going to look, and kind of like my brainstorming process behind that. And then, of course, my idea for this cover. And you guys be sure to let me know what you think of it, if it sounds cool or not. So most weeks the videos are going to be about news, like nerdy related news of things that I feel that are worth my attention and that people would be interested in, and that I'm interested in, because if I'm not interested in it, I'm not going to really be all that entertaining, because I already have kind of a monotone voice, which I'm very aware of. But so there wasn't really anything this week that really stuck out, right? And except for maybe the Obi-Wan show being temporarily like, right, script differences and all that stuff. But anyway, so I decided to make the videos about my books, right? Because the whole point of the channel is to raise awareness for the project, and I thought maybe this would be interesting to people. On Wednesday, the video is going to be about me making the map that's going to go in the book. It's going to show a little bit of the process of me working on the map to get it ready to go in the book. But today is going to be about the book cover brainstorming, right? As you can see here, very clearly displayed. So, well, I mean, the cover is, it's such a big deal, it really is. Like, people judge your book based on the cover, especially people like me. The whole reason that I got into fantasy, other than watching the Lord of the Rings movies, but the whole thing that got me to start reading them was I was in the store with my mom at, I think it was a Walmart or a Kmart or something like that, and I saw this book cover, right? The Thousand Orcs by R.A. Salvatore, and I thought that it looked epic, right? Full wraparound cover. It looks absolutely beautiful, and the image of it stuck with me. I knew at that age, because I was probably like in 5th grade, I knew at that age that I wasn't going to be able to read something this thick. But the visual of that book cover, it stuck with me. You fast forward several years to when I was in high school, and I was in a bookstore in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I was like, I'm going to find that book. I'm going to try to find that book. And I did. And finding out that it was in, The Legend of Drizzt. It's like the 20-something book in the series. It's so long. And I wanted to start with the first one, and the first 2 books ended up becoming my favorite ones, but the cover is what brought me to buy it. It's what got me into reading books. So I take the cover very seriously. Now, that book cover in mind, I'm not really somebody that loves, I know like the fad right now for book covers is to kind of do what like George R.R. Martin is doing with his, where it's just some like simple graphic design like thing, And you know, that's really all that there is to it, right? You know, it looks classy. Don't get me wrong. I love the smell of books, but this would not stick out to me. What makes this book stick out is the name right now, right? And I mean, obviously he got discovered and all that, but this cover does not really stick out to me. It's very classy, but it does not make it seem like the book is like super action filled and interesting. It makes it look almost like a history book in my opinion, which I do love history, but most people don't, right? So I am somebody that prefers there to be an illustration, right? I want to capture people's interest, and I'm going to make the book that I want to make. So this was my first book that I did, The Silva Mist. You can see the artwork there, right? You can see the graphic design from my Uncle Jimmy, and he did the spine and the back, right? And you know, that's really good. I really like it. I really do like it. But this next one, I'm trying to up the ante a little bit. So number one, I'm printing more of them because I'm really gonna push for this book. I didn't push super hard with this book because I'm a little insecure about it, but this next book I'm very, very confident. I'm gonna be trying my absolute hardest. So I found a new printing company that does not leave the little indent here, and if you get X amount of books printed, you can do a certain kind of cover which won't peel after use, but it's still that matte, and it won't scratch when you just run your fingernail along it. And in addition to those upgrades, it will be a full wraparound cover like this book, right? And actually, the type of matte I'm talking about is actually what you see on this Game of Thrones book right here. It won't peel. It'll crack maybe after like 10 years of heavy use, but it's very sturdy, it's very high quality, right? So for this book cover, this book largely takes place in snow up in the north, kind of follows Narbad's origin story. And so I am drawing some inspiration from that first cover that drew my attention, right? It worked on me. It could totally work on somebody else. In fact, I'm pretty confident that it will. And you can actually kind of see a little bit of the influence on the graphic design of that and The Sylvan Mist. And so, like this book, Narbad, my main character, who is not a dark elf like you see there, he's an orc, is going to be surrounded by monsters from my books, which are lifts, which are like pale, almost skin-like translucent goblins, and wendigos, which are a Native American mythological creature. So imagine kind of like this cover, but there's snow, it's a large battle with lifts and wendigos, and it's Narbad that is there, which I have a picture of him on the next slide, so don't worry. So this large battle amidst the snow, which is taking place in the third act of the battle. I like the cover to actually take place in the book. Like this cover does not actually happen in that book. That bothers me. But something that I like about the R.A. Salvatore, Todd Lockwood book covers, I also really like this one, is that there's like blood on the blades. It's in action. It's in an action pose. So Narbad will be in an action pose with his back up against some kind of a snowy edge or something like that. But it's not going to be just him. He's going to have his allies Talia and Ruth beside him. And Talia and Ruth are two high elves that are brother and sister. And they're kind of main characters along with Narbad, but slightly not as main character. So it's going to be epic. There's going to be lifts. There's going to be wendigos. Narbad's going to be in the middle of a fight. You know, epicness, right? And there's going to be blood and snow, and it's going to be epic. Now, here's the full cover of the 1,000 Orcs, right? So kind of imagine this, but more of an open, snowy, not field, but kind of like, you know, hilly like that, but snowy and not quite as hilly, right? It was a lot more flat than that. And the one on the left right there, that's Narbad. So he's going to be the guy at the middle of the front cover, right? Like you see here. And the book will be You know, this is a normal mass market paperback. And this is the size of my books, which is the same size of that Game of Thrones book, right? So it'll be a little bit more space. Narbad will be at the focal point, the center, and to either side of him will be his two allies, and the rest of the cover, the snowy, bloody battlefield, will be filled with lifts and wendigos. And that's kind of my idea for this book. I'm really excited for it. I've gone back and forth many times about what I want on this cover. And I might put the main villain on the somewhere in there, you know, kind of hiding a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, so kind of my process with how do I come up with this? Well, for me, it's never really been much of a problem. Like J.R.R. Tolkien, he made a name and then made a character around that name. I come up with the appearance of a character and then I make up the name. You know, I get inspired by something and then I get a character out from that. And they're changed a lot, but still. Right, so a lot of nights I'll end up not being able to fall asleep because I'm just wide awake thinking about, well, what's this character gonna look like, and what would this cover, you know, this cover's gonna be this cover's gonna be that, this cover's gonna be that. I have little mental ideas of what each cover, each of the 10 book covers is gonna look like. And I've gone around with this one quite a bit. It used to be, for the longest time, it was gonna be like Narbad and Talia in the throne room, which is like pretty much right after the battle that's going to be the cover now. And I don't know, I just couldn't work it out to where it would all fit with the words there, you know. And I think that it's gonna look really good. I think it is. All right, that is what I'm thinking so far. Narbad in an epic battle against all these creatures with his two companions. This giant battle, there'll be blood, there'll be snow, it'll be epic. All right, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Again, like, subscribe, all those great, wonderful things. Peace out.